Welcome, folks. We should be back on schedule now. But this one, yeah, I think.
Maybe. We never know.
Yeah. So this is going to be episode 12 of Unqualified Opinions.
And welcome back. And we are still in the running for Variety's America's Favorite Couple. So please vote. Share with other people. Have them vote. One free vote per day. Some days there's 2 times the vote, where 1 vote equals 2 points, which is where we've kind of been getting our rankings from. Yeah, we've got like a couple weeks left on that, and then we'll be done having to advertise that, and hopefully we will have won.
And asking/begging people to vote for us.
Begging, please.
Yeah.
Please. But anywho, other than that, we've got some interesting stories for you guys lined up today. I will say that actually no, because we're going to keep this scheduled as best we can. So disregard what I was about to say. But yeah, let's get to it.
All right. So I guess I'm going first today.
Yes, you are.
All right. Yay. First story from Reddit. Am I the asshole for silently changing my son's name after my brother and sister-in-law gave their son the same name? My wife and I had our son 4 months ago. We had a name chosen early in her pregnancy, and we kept that name to ourselves. But my sister-in-law, married to my brother, found it out, and when she was still pregnant with my nephew, almost 7 months old now. She never said how. She just told us that she loved the name. Congrats, and she couldn't wait to meet him. We assumed she snooped because she was not told. I even mentioned it to my brother, and he said his wife does like to browse through people's things like it was no biggie.
Invasion of privacy, much.
Then, when my nephew was born, they announced his name, and it was the name we had chose. First, middle, and last name. Wow. My brother called right after sister-in-law posted the announcement, and he told me to keep it quiet because his wife had a rough birth and she didn't need drama and knew we might not like it, but she really wanted the name. Her reason? My brother and I have matching twin-like names, and sister-in-law wanted to connect our 2 boys by giving them the same name so that they were each other's namesake. My wife and I talked it over, and we decided to pick a different name. But we'd pretend to keep the original name until there was zero risk of sister-in-law changing the nephew's name. 6 months after birth, it's harder to make a change in our state. We only started telling people the true name last week. My parents and sister said it made sense. Friends and my in-laws understood why we did it. My brother told me I upset his wife by silently doing this and taking away her choice to match the boys. He told me it was a dick move. I told him his wife using the full name we chose was a dick move. He's not wrong. I asked him if he considered how much tougher it would be with both boys enrolled in the same school with this very same name. Not to mention banking, doctors, dental, all kinds of stuff. He told me plenty of people have the same name and it's not a big deal. And we are just trying to gatekeep names. I think he's crazy. So does my wife. And she said he clearly doesn't want sister-in-law to be mad, but am I the asshole for what I did? Like, are we weird for thinking of this kind of stuff?
Absolutely not. So I went ahead and added a couple of the comments to this story in case you wanted to read some, but it's okay if you don't. Pretty much the family acted like there was no big deal, and that he found it weird as someone who had a name similar to his brothers, that it caused headaches.
Just read the comments.
And that she thinks, I'm assuming the sister-in-law thinks it's so cute and perfect, a perfect way to compliment me and my brother because of our names being similar, but that he always found it to be a pain in the arse. So that was the only update that I found from the OP, really, but it wasn't really like an update. It was more like responding to the comments that were being made, which were pretty much that he wasn't the asshole. But in a bigger note, like, no, you're not the asshole for wanting to actually choose to name your baby whatever you want to choose to name your baby. The whole preface that she called you an asshole for not telling them your baby's name in fear that they were going to change it back so that they could match it to your baby's name is like mind-blowing to me, because if you're going to match babies' names, then you kind of like make this like it's a consensual decision. Hey, we're going to name our babies the same thing. Is that cool? Yeah, that's cool. Let's do it. It'll be so cute, right? But like, to make that decision and then say that we took away the choice, took away her choice. Like, there's more than one person there making that choice. Like,
it wasn't her choice.
What in the world?
She snooped and stole the name from them, and apparently the brother-in-law went along with it and didn't say anything to his brother, which is crazy, first of all.
The brother-in-law, no, the brother went along with it and then didn't tell his brother.
No.
Yes, it's a sister-in-law.
I know, okay. Anyway.
So yeah, no, I don't think you're the asshole. I think you're protecting your peace and your right to name your baby whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
Like,
you shouldn't have to do that to.
Yes, you shouldn't have to do that. Yeah. That's wild to me. The same exact name. How dare you? Also, don't mention it because she had a rough birth. Are we not going to talk about the fact that you just stole my baby's name?
Yeah, like her having a rough birth is reason enough for you to steal the name that your brother and his wife were going to name their kids. Like, that's pretty messed up.
Let's talk about how you guys snooped, found the name after snooping, and then used it because you delivered first, and now saying that like we're assholes for changing the name because we didn't want to have the same name as your like. How do people get away with the logic there? Doesn't logic. It's not logicking.
Well, some people don't use logic in their normal day.
Wow. The consensus is you're not the asshole.
Yeah,
you did what you have to do. Protect your peace and watch yourself with your sister-in-law, because clearly she has no boundaries. That's the root. I was going to say something meaner, but like, no, she just has no boundaries.
Not only is he not the asshole, it's shitty that they had to do that in order to name their kid. First of all, like, you shouldn't have to do that because of something that someone on the other side of your family might do. It's shitty.
Correct. I agree. All right.
You ready for number 2?
I am ready for number 2. Am I the asshole for dropping our dinner on the ground and walking out when my boyfriend asked me, "What's for dinner tonight, bitch?" All right, cool. I was over at my boyfriend's apartment this weekend, and I was cooking dinner because he was studying for exams. I made pasta and a chunky sauce with meatballs and veggies. I told him dinner was ready, and he goes, "What's for dinner tonight, bitch?" With like a lot of emphasis on the last word. So I'm reading it right, guys. I was fed up. I'd had a pretty rough day with work, and I have some awfully bad associations with that word being used by other people in my life who were pretty abusive. So I was so irritated that I dropped the pot of pasta sauce I'd been carrying right on the ground and was like, "Well, nothing's for dinner tonight now, and I better not hear you using that word again. It's for the girls." He was freaking out about how sauce had landed on his rug, and he even said, "You're seriously acting like a bitch right now. I don't know what else to call it." Jeez, he doubled down on this. I just walked out and got takeout for myself and went to my friend's house. She thought it was funny, but my boyfriend was furious. He kept texting and calling and sending me voice memos trying to explain that saying "What's for dinner tonight, bitch" was a TikTok trend and that he was just quoting something as a joke to put on TikTok. I thought that was the shittiest excuse ever. It doesn't matter if he saw it as a joke or stole the joke, it was still disrespectful. But it didn't change the fact he thought that shit was funny. To demean me when I was trying to do him a favor. Like, hell, I came over and he was studying to make a home cooked dinner and he decides it's time for jokes. So I put my phone on Do Not Disturb for the night and split a bottle of wine with my friend and her roommate. The next morning, he was sending me angry texts demanding I clean his rug because he was too busy with exams to do it. I was shocked. He left it overnight. That's disgusting. I texted
That's
him
never
back
coming out.
saying, "Yeah, so that's the bitch tax, honey. Leave me alone until you're ready to handle your own cooking and cleaning because this bitch isn't anymore. Also, it's vile you left that soaking in all night." He called me and told me that he was okay with doing his own household work, but I did throw a full pot of sauce at the ground, so that's on me to clean up. I told him, "Yeah, no, I'm not comfortable doing chores for you if you see me like your bitch." He told me he didn't, and it was just a trend, and I got pissed off. He was playing that TikTok trend bullshit excuse again, and I told him, "Well, I'm starting a trend called saucing, where, as a little joke, people throw pasta sauce around. You can't be mad because it's just a little trend, a little jokey joke, just a little pranky prank, bro." Oh, goodness.
They need
He
to
got
break up.
really pissed off and hung up on me, and now I'm seriously wondering if this dumb fucking TikTok joke is gonna be the end of things between us. Am I the asshole for how I reacted when my boyfriend asked me, "What's for dinner tonight, bitch?"
Wow. There's a lot going on there. There's a whole lot going on there. I think there was some kind of update, yeah?
Okay. Edit to address a comment I've gotten a lot, and I don't have time to reply to every time. But did you tell him not to call you a bitch? Like, how would he know otherwise? Honestly, if someone has gotten to the age of 30 and not realized that women, as a whole, do not like having demeaning slurs used against them, they're beyond my help. This isn't something that needs to be told. I shouldn't have to go through life like, "Hey man, just in case you were thinking I might like demeaning slurs against my gender used on me. I don't actually." And if you were about to comment something like that, let me just tell you in no uncertain terms, women do not like being called bitches by men. Do not call women bitches. If you needed to be told that is unkind, consider yourself officially told. Now you have no excuse to not understand. Oh, shit.
Not to stick up for him or anything, but to be fair, there are some shitty TikTok trends that both men and women do to each other to see how they're going to react. So, I mean, I personally haven't seen that one, I don't think. But again, not excusing it, but they have a lot going on. They should not be together. And I know I'm usually the one like, that's not the answer. But like,
The amount of times where he's like, "Why do the comments always say just break up with him, get a new one?" And he gets so upset by it. Is, for me, it's hilarious. I'm sorry. I'm here for the trolling. It's
but they're using it in situations where I don't think that's warranted. Like this one, yeah, maybe.
I don't think she's the asshole because I don't think she intentionally was like, "Here, let me throw the pasta sauce all over the rug." It was just kind of like a, shit. No, I'm out of here. And like, doesn't make it right that she spreads pasta sauce on the carpet, but also, who, when was that established as okay to just, like, especially if that's not your relationship type, right? You've never called somebody your bitch like that, or it's like, you've never called me a bitch ever. And I think if you ever called me a bitch, I would be like, "Who the fuck you think you are? You 6'3" wannabe Jason Momoa?"
For the record, I don't want to be Jason Momoa.
You fucking Jason Momoa look like. I would question it. Look, like, no, that's not just like a regular thing.
Right. If that's not something he's ever called her, that should have garnered a question. Like, what did you just say? Why did you just call me that? And then He could have definitely explained, oh, it's this TikTok trend. Let me show you, if that's really what it was. It could have been handled better on both their ends. And
I think it wasn't done on purpose, is what it is what I led to, which is why I'm like, no, you're not the asshole, because I don't think you intentionally was like, you're splatter, splatter, jokey joke. But then the fact how he responded is what
they
kind of
both
like
responded pretty shittily.
twisted the
She
knife
did
in.
as well, though. You can't sit here and say that she responded the correct way to it, and only he responded
That's my
poorly. Okay. All right. I guess I'm done talking.
Well, I mean, the whole time he's like, come clean this shit up. Like, I go clean nothing up. And the fact that you left it out there, like, what are you, a child? Like, I don't disagree with those. Do I think there was a nicer way of saying it? Of course, there's nicer ways of saying it. But like this whole time, not once that he's like, hey, I'm sorry, you're right. I didn't realize that would get such backlash. I didn't realize you were going to get so upset that you would leave. Like, it was a TikTok trend. I'm sorry. Even if that's the excuse, like, I am sorry that I said that. I didn't realize I was making a poor joke. Like, there's no accountability from his side. He just doubles down, which then obviously
No, he did try to explain why he did it. That's not doubling down. At the top, he tried to explain why he did it. She then still continued to react negatively instead of talking about it. Immediately went like, nah, bitch, you take care of it. And he's like, hey, I'm just trying to tell you why I said this is a TikTok trend.
No, he did not. You're seriously acting like a bitch right now. I don't know what else to call it after she dropped the sauce. She dropped the sauce and said, well, nothing's for dinner tonight now, and I better not hear you using that word again. It's for the girls. You're seriously acting like a bitch right now. I don't know what else to call it. That's not trying to explain shit. He doubled down. So she walked out and went and got takeout by herself. He did not really go out of his way to explain it. Had he been like, I'm so sorry, I thought it was a joke, it was on TikTok, I didn't mean to insult you, I'm sure she would have been like, whatever, it's fine, like, help, let me clean this shit up. I'm sure. It was I don't know what else to call it, but you're being a bitch.
Yeah, well, her response wasn't good either. I'm not backing him up, but they both had shitty responses, period. Well, nothing's for dinner right now, and you better not hear you that word again. It's for the girls. So then he reacted poorly from that as well. There's a lot of poor reactions out of both sides.
But he did start it with calling her a bitch, though. Especially in a scenario where, like, that's not on the plate, right? Like, that's not normal.
Yeah. Okay. And he said it was a TikTok trend. I'm not backing him up. They both handled it poorly. Both of them. Both together handled it poorly.
I guess.
I've said all I'm going to say on it, so.
Okay. Let's move on to the third and final story. Since I couldn't find the real story that I wanted to share with you guys because it was much better anyway. But whatever.
Go ahead. You can read the last one.
But I just read that. It's your turn.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why are you making me read everything? All right. Last story. Am I the asshole for getting up from my chair in the middle of Christmas dinner and telling everybody to shut the fuck up in response to my husband's observation? So, ever since I had my son months ago, my husband has started making indirect comments about my body. He never says any hurtful words, but I find his observations, as he calls it, hurtful. For example, he'd see me wearing an old top and say, oh, that top used to look good on you, but not anymore though. Oh. Or when he looks at my waist and says, wow, didn't know your waist could get this wide. Oh no. Basically, passive stuff that I tried to ignore until it extended to friends and family. For your information, this went on for months and months and months. We went to Christmas celebration at his family's home. My sister-in-law complimented my floral maxi dress, and my husband said, "I agree, it looks nice on you. Though I have to admit that your waist could get smaller than this." What?
Mm.
Awkward silence took over. I was absolutely fuming, and this was my last straw, so I got up from my chair in the middle of dinner and shouted at the top of my lungs, "Shut the fuck up about my body!" He was absolutely speechless as his family stared while some others tried to get me to calm down, but the situation got more tense and dinner ended up being cut short and my husband storming off to his friend's place to spend the night upon leaving a very nasty text saying I embarrassed him and made a scene over an observation he made. He called me childish and told me to get therapy for my insecurities instead of verbally abusing him and scarring his family. Now I feel like an absolute asshole and like I ruined Christmas for him and everybody with my oversensitivity. Am I the asshole?
It could have been handled a lot better.
But it wasn't.
I think for me, when reading the stories, that's the biggest thing that makes the OP the asshole is how they handle the situation. A lot of these stories come off as severely poor lack of communication between the two, especially when it's a couple one. Um, it's a conversation she could have pulled him aside for and had a conversation with him about. I think just the place it happened is the only thing that makes her the asshole. He's definitely been an asshole for dropping hints instead of just having a conversation with his wife. He clearly didn't know how to communicate that in another way, or chose not to. I don't know. But she also has had opportunities to communicate to him that she does not like when he does that. Instead of blowing up when it finally the straw breaks the proverbial camel's back. It's just most of these come down to not pulling your partner aside and having an honest conversation, and end up in explosive blow-ups instead. So I'm not going to say she is or isn't the asshole. I'm just going to say she could have handled it differently, just like he could have handled it differently the way he felt about how she was looking these days.
So, I mean, he makes a very, very, very valid point in there. With that said, one of the things that I noticed in this thread is that it happened for months. So that is a perfect example of what reactive abuse looks like, where like somebody pokes the bear and pokes the bear and pokes the bear and pokes the bear, and then finally they do something like really out of pocket, like in this case, yelling at him in the middle of Christmas dinner, and then now she's the bad guy. But with that being said, it's not excusing or like saying that she's overly sensitive. She was clearly being poked for months on end. Mm-hmm. What I'm not seeing, what I think is missing there, is the fact that it doesn't sound like she had a conversation with him saying, "Hey, I've noticed that you keep making gestures, observations, passive-aggressive comments about me and what I look like, and it's making me feel X, Y, Z." Because at that point, that gives him the opportunity to be like, "Oh man, honey, I didn't mean to make you feel that way, right?" Or maybe I did mean to make you feel that way, and then and then kept poking the bear. But we don't know that portion of that conversation in terms of that dynamic, and I think that's a huge like red flag in that if they did talk about it and he continued to do it, then that was normal for her to have reacted that way, right? And like, no, yeah, you're not the asshole. But if you went silent for months and months and months and let him speak to you like that and didn't mention that it bothered you, didn't mention that it hurt your feelings, he's not his responsibility to reach your mind. It's your responsibility to communicate that, even when it's hard, because especially like postpartum, like that's hard. And to not express it. I mean, and also I'll say it's a sensitive subject and space, right? So
Not to interrupt. I want to be clear, and I thought I made it clear, but this is both of their faults. This is definitely not just his or just hers. Like,
we're going under the assumption that they did not have that conversation,
yes,
and she abruptly got reactive. And I'm stating in those two factors, like if they did have that conversation, then yes, OP is not the asshole because she's had that conversation. But if they didn't have that conversation, then she is the asshole because she never communicated that to him. And as partners, you can't read each other's mind. You have to advocate for yourself. Even in the best of relationships, there's going to be moments where the communication is going to go. You got to communicate to each other. It doesn't matter how in tune or in sync you are. We don't read each other's minds, and it could avoid a lot of these conflicts.
Yeah, most of these tend to come down to lack of communication, and having conversations is hard. We struggle with that,
Right.
and it's something we're working on as well. Can you stop interrupting us, please? These mics can hear you every time you start trying to interrupt by whispering. We will be done when we're done.
I know. There's
You
something
can tattle on her when we're done.
There's something in regards to
No.
Eva.
Okay, again, you
hear
can
you.
tattle on her when we're
But
done.
let us finish this, and I will go and have a conversation with both of you. Okay, please.
You're still tattling.
I don't need the reason right now. I will make space for you to tell me the reason in a little bit. Just give me a couple minutes. We're almost done. Okay, please go upstairs. I will be there in a couple of minutes.
The longer we can't finish, the longer it's going to take.
Correct. I'm trying to finish this for you. You can patiently wait at the top of the stairs, but I need you to stay quiet because the mics will hear you. Okay. Thank you. Go on. Or stand there and make us wait and waste memory.
We're not going to continue until you go. You're the one making the choice right now.
So what were you saying?
I lost my train of thought. We're back. Sorry, another little interruption there. Communication. Like I said,
you're talking about us and our communication.
Yeah, we struggle with it. We're getting better at it, and so we understand that everyone struggles with it. Not every person. Probably, I would say the majority of people are not good communicators. Period. But if you want that relationship to last and to thrive, that's something you got to work on.
Right. It had a little light bulb go bling in regards to how the husband did text her at the end that she had to go get therapy and counseling for her insecurities. That's very gaslighty. That does not alleviate the issue. That does not alleviate the problem. That does not help anybody get seen.
That was pretty shitty.
It was awful. So even if we were to say, OP, you're the asshole for throwing a tantrum, because that's what we're going to call it, right? Just for time's sake, right? He also is the asshole for throwing a tantrum thereafter, saying you scarred me, saying you threw a tantrum, and then on top of that, saying you need therapy for insecurities. No. The reality is, you as a husband should be supportive to your wife who just had baby, who just brought life through her portal of life. Okay? Let's start there.
Her life through her portal of life.
Brought life into existence through her portal of life. Shut up.
Long story short, they should be in therapy together.
So clearly there's a lack of support happening in that household where she feels very alone. Like having your body go from postpartum, like that's a huge change. And it's hard on women. Like having had 2 kids, like that snapback is not very snappy. Let me tell you that. It takes a lot of work and a lot of energy. Not everybody has the same goals or some people have to, learn to accept their bodies for what it's become. It just made life. And as a husband, you have to be very sensitive of that. Like the fact that you were not sensitive to that and to her changes and her life changes and all that stuff like that. That really sucks. It really shows like a very unsupportive spouse, and you might be the most supportive spouse ever, but like in this case, you really sucked. You really dropped the ball, unfortunately. So as much as I can be like, OP, you may or may not be the asshole, like, husband, you were definitely the asshole no matter how you dice it, because she just birthed your children, and now you're talking about her body and how it hasn't snapped back. And that's kind of shitty. Really shitty.
Yeah. Like I said, it's on both of them. This isn't on one or the other side. Obviously, more probably on the husband's side because he's the one making the comments, but it's also just as much on her side for never telling him how uncomfortable it made her feel.
She definitely should have said something.
Yeah.
But
instead of blowing up after it's been said umpteen times.
Right. But yeah, those are our stories for today. Let us know what you guys think. Please comment, like, share, subscribe.